Whether it's yield, return on investment, or overall profit, every farmer has goals for their operation. Clearly defining your goals and understanding a path to achieving them will help you determine your best crop nutrition management strategy.
So Brad, this season on Back to Basics, we've kind of been talking about that on-farm decision-making process, whether that's on-farm research, doing a risk-benefit analysis. One of the things that I think we really need to talk about is, what does success look like? What does that look like on a farm guy? Is it purely a profit thing, or are there other factors that go into that?
Of course, when you think about success, ROI is one of the first ones that comes to mind, return on investment. Anytime you, I guess the way I look at it, when I make a fertility recommendation, for example, for every dollar that I have somebody spend, I like to see somewhere around at least a $3 return on that investment. So we want to make sure we're profitable. But there's a lot of other ways that you could consider success. Maybe you got some other ideas.
So one I think of is yield. Whenever we look at yield, that could be an important factor to somebody that's either in a competition plot or one of their local yield chaser contests, something like that. That could be a factor to them, that yield is the only thing they're looking at. That it may not be the dollar spent to get that yield, but total yield.
You mentioned a lot of the contests, the corn growers contests and so forth. So yeah, you're right. Yield might be one of the things that they use to define success.
You know, profit's another one, and we kind of mentioned that with ROI, but whenever I'm thinking of this profit, it takes me back to whenever I was kind of a little bit younger in my career and talking to some guys, and I had this farmer tell me that, you know, went out to him and he wanted to make 120 bushel corn. And I was like, man, 120 bushel corn, what are we gonna do with that? And got to looking at it, whenever we really broke it down and made his inputs and everything for that 120 bushel corn, and he came out and was super profitable for our area. So it wasn't the high yield that got it for him. At the end of the day, it was that profit that he was putting in his bank account.
Right, so he defines success with profit. You know, another thing too to think about, down in my area, I know there's a lot of competition for rented acres. Anytime you're renting a farm ground from a landlord, you want to make sure that you're leaving a good impression. Just how the crop looked was very important to one of my customers. And we made a foliar application of a nutrient to really green that corn up and make it look good because he wanted to impress the landlord. Didn't necessarily give him a great return on the investment, but it left the impression that he was very successful and ensured that he was going to get to rent those acres in the future.
Well, and something you just mentioned there is kind of leading towards quality, right? So I know we talk a lot about corn, soybeans, but in some of the other crops out there, like tomatoes, for example, quality is a big issue, and that the quality of that crop, whenever we come to harvest, if you have a little bit better quality of crop, you might not have the tons, but if the grade's better, you're going to get paid out more on that grade tomato.
Right, you can make the same argument for a crop like potatoes. Anytime you can eliminate that hollow heart, some of those challenges that they have in making a good solid potato, that may be how you define success.
So I think coming back around to wrap this all up a little bit is success is going to be defined in a lot of different ways. What you have to be comfortable with is defining that success on your farm and what you're comfortable with.
Right. Like Ryan and I have discussed, there are a lot of ways to define success, whether it be ROI, profitability, quality. If you're looking for more success on your farm, please reach out to us at agriliquid.com.